I made it despite the Indigo chaos. Before you start, I have to tell you guys my Ram Kahani here. I had to go to Singapore 3 days back. There was an award ceremony, and I never traveled Indigo internationally. The timing was good. I took an Indigo flight. On the return flight, I was stuck in the airport for 12 hours. They didn't even tell us anything. I reached Mumbai at 2 a.m. yesterday, then had a call. Any Bangalore Lit Fest guys here? Loud applause, man, for them. They somehow managed to figure it out and got a non-Indigo option and got me here. And I reached late last night.
Did you write another book in those 12 hours?
No. I slept for 6-7 hours, so I'm really tired. So in case I make some mistakes, please forgive me. And I'm 51, I'm too old for this shit, man. I can't keep traveling like this.
Okay, so hopefully the black coffee
Indigo, hi.
Really, really delighted to welcome you here and to be speaking with you again. I think we've done a few sessions together so far. I mean, we've done one online and one in person. The last time was with your Dharma books.
Yes.
And the theme of Dharma carries on in this book also.
Absolutely.
And actually, when they called me and told me that I was going to be in conversation with you, I thought that I must be some kind of special guest in your sessions, like a special appearance in every genre. I have to come in once and say, okay,
my lucky charm.
Inaugurate, thank you, inaugurate the new genre. And actually, in your Dharma book, you had hinted that you were going to be writing something to do with chronicles and history, and little did I realize that it was historical fiction you were talking about. I thought you were going to venture into history as in non-fiction,
As in non-fiction?
I mean,
oh no, man! I'm not a scholar. I'm a storyteller.
No, so but when you had said chronicles or history, there was a hint of that in your Dharma second book, or in our conversation, maybe, I'm not sure. So this was just very fascinating for me to see the new area that now you've come into, bringing together heritage, history, concept and idea, and some kind of an ideal concept that you built and weave in together with parts of history and your imagination. Very, very interesting. Also, the focus on Tamil Nadu. I myself grew up, I went to school in Tamil Nadu, so you talked about how you saw Ponniyin Selvan, or you read it in the 90s.
In the 1990s.
In the 70s, I saw the Shivaji Ganeshan movie, the Raja Chola. And in those days, it was CinemaScope, okay? So that was really a big deal. We saw it in open-air theaters. So I'm very familiar with that landscape, and it was fascinating for me to see how you've dived into that. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to go south, to pick up such a theme, to go with Tamil Nadu? Can you tell us about that first? Yeah.
I think the drive for the Indic Chronicles, this is the second book in the Indic Chronicles. The first one was Legend of Suhail Dev. How many of you guys have read I know it just came out, Chola Tigers. How many have read Chola Tigers already? Okay. Yeah, very few. What the hell is this? Seriously. But hopefully you'll buy it all out here. Look, the Indic Chronicles thing was essentially driven by three reasons. One is something that I'd felt even when I was in school. The way our national history textbooks are, those of you who went to the national boards, there is this excessive Delhi obsession in our history books, in our national history books. And I'd actually studied in Tamil Nadu. I don't know how many of you guys know, I'd studied in Lawrence School, Ooty.
In Ooty, right?
Yeah, in Ooty. So, Tamil Nadu. That's why...
Not Tamil Nadu.
Not Tamil Nadu, no. No, Tamil Nadu. And which is why I'm one of the few North Indians who can pronounce Kadagam properly. Okay. Was that the right pronunciation?
Kadagam.
Yeah? No. Okay. So, I remember in our national history textbooks, I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be this section called Meanwhile in the South. You guys remember that? Yeah? Some 2 chapters or something would come.
Actually, you had the Cholas, Cheras, and
like, 2-3 lines,
Pandyas
either
in one
other.
paragraph.
And I remember because I was studying in Tamil Nadu at those days, and I had friends who were Tamilians, who were, South Indians, and he said, all you, Punjabi, Delhi buggers, you think everything happens only out there, and in the south. Meanwhile, in the south, and I was saying, I'm not a Punjabi, boss. I'm from UP. No, anyone north of Maharashtra is Punjabi.
Anyone south of the line is Madrasi.
So, but one of the things that struck me at that time, which I told them as well, that at least the south gets a meanwhile in the south. West India, Central India, East India, Northeast, we don't even get a meanwhile. There's no meanwhile also. How many of you guys had read on the Marathas, honestly, knew about the Marathas or Peshwa Baji Rao, before Sanjay Leela Bansali made his movie?
Actually, only in the last decade.
How many of you? Yeah. Now, so many of the regions of India are utterly ignored. Especially the history of the last 1,000 years, there's this excessive focus from Khyber to Agra, that everything happened out there only.
In Hindi and English, you mean, right? Because in the languages,
No, I'm saying in our history textbooks, right? And some people frame it as a Hindu-Muslim issue. I don't think it is, because the Adil Shahis, who were a great empire from, the Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, that area, they are ignored also completely, right? So it is this excessive Delhi focus, and I'm not anti-Delhi. Delhi is important, but it's not the only important part. So my Indie Chronicles, I want to cover other regions. That's the first point. Second thing which struck me, I don't know if it struck you guys. Do you notice that British colonial rule is not called the Christian invasion, but the Turkic colonial rule is called the Islamic invasion? Have you guys noticed that? And it was a British Raj era formulation. You can guess what their agenda was. What was essentially an Indian foreigner fight was converted into a Hindu-Muslim fight, right? So many of our popular movies also add to the confusion. Not just in the Hindi film industry, across the country. Because, so many Indians start thinking Alauddin Khilji looks like Ranveer Singh, or Akbar looked like Prithviraj Kapoor, or Hrithik Roshan. Sorry? Hrithik Roshan. Sorry, I'm 51, so I thought of Prithviraj Kapoor. Sorry. Clearly I'm old. Okay, Hrithik Roshan. So, but the point is actually, they were not Indian, right? They did not look like us. To us, they would have looked Chinese, but actually they were Central Asians. They were from the steppe lands. They did not speak Urdu, I assure you that, okay? They did not speak Urdu. They would have spoken Turkic or Persian, right? So, this has created poison in today's day, right? And the third thing which struck me in our history books is, especially the history of the last 1,000 years, it's like a story of repeated defeats. Have you guys noticed that? Like just one battle after another, we just keep losing. And what struck me is, if we were losing every single battle for 1,000 years, why the hell is our civilization still alive? We should be dead. Logically, right? A civilization loses for so long to foreign invaders, it should be dead. How long did the Native Americans survive? How long did Zoroastrian Persia survive? In Iran. Zoroastrians are alive, Zoroastrianism is alive in India. Not abroad, right? Not in Iran, not in their homeland. But 1,000 years later, we are still standing. So the thing that struck me, yes, there were battles that our ancestors lost, but there were battles that we won as well. And those battles have not been taught to us. And most importantly, our ancestors never stopped fighting. They never surrendered. Look, some battles you win, some battles you lose, okay? That's a part of life. Your civilization loses only when you surrender, right? Only when you say, I can't handle this anymore, let the foreigners win, right? Our ancestors never stopped. So to me, the story of the last 1,000 years is not a story of repeated defeats. It's actually the story of the greatest resistance in human history. The greatest resistance.
I would love to.
No, seriously, no group of indigenous people has fought so long and so hard to protect their culture. And the history kind of teaches us to kind of droop our shoulders, cow down. We are descendants of a cowardly, defeated race. No, we're the descendants of the toughest buggers ever. Our back should be straight, our shoulders should be back, our chin should be high, and we should be worthy of the sacrifices of our ancestors. I want to cover the battles that we won through the Indic Chronicles.
So actually I was going to go deeper into each of these 3 points that you talked about. First you said Tamil Nadu and how you lived there, and the focus you've taken on the Choras is from your interest in that region. But also you've had recently Mani Ratnam's film. There seems to be a whole revival of interest in that. If you see the last elections, you had the importance of Andhra Pradesh. I mean, some of the southern states and those blocks have been really important in sort of boosting the
Listen,
overall.
I have relatives in Gorakhpur, okay, who are now bigger fans of Ram Charan, than Shah Rukh Khan. Who would have thought, man? Okay. And Telugu movies are really taking over here. In UP, Bihar, I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, so this seems to be like sort of part of like an overall movement
Yash as
of
well,
awareness.
sorry, Kannada movies too.
Awareness
Yash.
into, the southern states overall. So the idea of India that you talk about, because you call it Bharat, which is very interesting. Even in the 10th, 11th century, you're calling it Bharat. Obviously, it's not India. I mean, you must have read Sunil Khilnani's fascinating book, The Idea of India, where he talks of how the idea of India is only like less than a century old. But the idea of Bharat is, of course, from Mahabharat. And you sort of change that idea into Bharat. And you're creating a very interesting unity theme into it, because the key characters, what happens in this book is basically, can I say the plot, or is the plot to be
sadly,
mysterious?
we may give away some spoilers, and
no, but we have to say the
I'm hoping at least there'll be 200 people buying the books today.
No, the
and
main
my publisher's out there at the back, and he told me, make sure you sell tons of books. You know how HarperCollins is, yeah. Slave
so
drivers.
there is like the desecration and the destruction of the Shivalingam in Somnath, and then a group of people get together to take revenge or to avenge this insult. And the group of people are a mixture of people. You have a Gujarati, you have a Tamilian, I mean, of course, you have Rajendra, Rajendra, you have a Malwa.
From
Merchant?
that MP, Chhattisgarh area.
How did you come up with that whole thing? Is that supposed to be a unity in diversity theme, all bringing Bharat together and avenging the pride of Bharat? Tell us more about that inspiration.
Very good question. Firstly, on the concept of Bharat being there as a national concept, I've read Sunil Khilnani's book, and I'm a fan of his. He's a great thinker. On that book, though, I respectfully disagree with him. Because if the question is that did the political state, the nation state of India, is that a recent creation? Yes. But then the nation state of the UK is also a recent creation, right? There were no nation states anywhere in the world before the treaties of Westphalia, which is only the 17th century. So nation states as a concept are recent.
You're talking of civilization.
Exactly. So in earlier times, the state was usually the king. It was a monarchy. It wasn't a nation state. So in 15th century England, you've heard of King Henry? Yeah, who had 6 wives and beheaded many of them. Not a great husband. So if in 15th century England, you said you were loyal to England and not to King Henry, you'd be beheaded as a traitor because the state was the king. So the nation state concept is recent. Therefore, the Indian nation state concept is also recent. But did India as a cultural concept, as a civilization, did that exist in ancient times? Hell yes.
Did they think in the 11th century that they were a part of Bharat?
Yes.
In Tamil
There were
Nadu?
more than enough examples, written examples of this. Vishnu Puran, how many have read the Vishnu Puran? Yeah? Okay, then you'd recognize this line. Vishnu Puran is at least 2,500 years old. I believe it's a lot older, but chalo, let's believe the historians, 2,500 years old. In that, there's this lovely line, Uttaram yat samudrasya himadrais chaiva dakshinam varsham tada bharatam nama bharti yatra santatihi. North of the ocean, south of the Himalaya, essentially the Indian subcontinent. North of the ocean, south of the Himalaya lies the nation of Bharat. There live the descendants of Bharat. Rajendra Chola changed his name to Gangai Konda when he conquered up to the Ganga river. He conquered many other parts of the world, Southeast Asia, many other. He didn't change his name. He conquered up to the Ganga Ji. He changed his name to Gangai Konda, changed the name of his capital to Gangai Konda Chodapuram. And it's not just Indians who thought of themselves as culturally one nation. Foreigners did as well. There are enough Greek accounts, Roman accounts, but let me tell you something closer home. A Sri Lankan Buddhist account, right? Around 15, most of you know Sri Lankans, majority Sri Lankans are Buddhists, right? The Sinhalese. 1500 years ago, some Sinhalese Buddhists tossed the pork straits from Sri Lanka to the region of the Vaigai River in Tamil Nadu, right? Moment, and this is recorded in their travel log, which is there in a book, a 4-book series called The India They Saw, the translation of it. Moment they crossed over into what is today's Tamil Nadu, 1500 years ago, they went down on their knees, kissed the ground, and said, "We are in the land where Gautam Buddha was born." Where was Gautam Buddha actually born? Lumini, right? The Bihar-Nepal border. Yeah. Tamil Nadu, Bihar-Nepal border. I don't have my Google Maps on, but probably around 2,000 kilometers. The Sri Lankans who entered knew immediately, this is the land where Gautam Buddha was born. This is the same line. We were clear, the foreigners were also clear that this is one land. The name could be Bharat, Ajna Bhavarsha, could be many things, but the concept does exist. Now,
thank you.
Your point on unity, that sadly did not happen that often, right? We fought, our ancestors fought often for the concept of Bharat, but they usually fought separately. Usually, sadly.
But it's a good theme in the book.
Yeah, my aim in this book is more a hope rather than, because the facts were, sadly, our ancestors would fight each other also. They would go and fight for, kings would land up to defend Somnath ji, but they would land up separately. Kings would land up to defend, but they would land up separately. And perhaps that's why we lost often, because of a lack of unity. That's the prayer I have for today's day. Yeah. Yes. That, look, we can have, and we are about unity in diversity. Everyone doesn't have to speak one language or have one religion or be from one caste or one region. No, nothing like that, right? We have our diversity, but never pick the side of a foreigner against a fellow Indian.
So
never do that.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. Thank you. And the second point you talked about how the British was never positioned as Christianity versus, whereas you always have the Hindu-Islam discourse, that there is some problem there. Very interestingly, I noticed in the book, like for example, you have a character, Iqbal, who is the friend of Someshwar, and he is, he's the person who loves Bharat. And then you very, very carefully tread that line where you say that, the Turkic interpretation of Islam. You're very careful to say that what is happening of Ghazni and, the whole, the actions, they're not Islamic, but they're just outsiders, invaders. It's their interpretation. You're very careful to say that.
They actually wrote that in their texts. Enough of these texts are available, and now translations are also available. For example, Tariq-e-Farishte. So the Turks actually wrote in copious detail. Babar Nama, there's a great translation today as well by Abbas Maldiyar, he's a Bangalorean. And Babar wrote in his own text, right? And Babar despised India, right? And he wrote it himself, in his own text, in his own kind of biography.
So all these things are very nicely separated. You have Islam, you have the Turkic interpretation of Islam, you have the idea of Bharat, you have diversity, and then this really interesting story comes together. The invasion is in Somnath, not in, like Tiruvannamalai, for example. You also have a Shiva temple there, but you've taken one historical fact, and then you've gone all the way to Tamil Nadu. For example, you could have created the story in the west of India also, but you've chosen to go for Rajendra Chola because you said he was the most important ruler there.
He was the most powerful man in the world at that time.
All the strands that come together, have made this a story. So what is, I mean, I wonder what's left for the next book, because you've covered it all already. All of India is involved in this.
Arey, don't worry. I have more than enough ideas. my problem is actually I'll run out of life before the ideas I already have. That's my biggest problem.
Okay, cool. So that was the second thing. And the third thing, of course, was about the civilization. The civilization and culture versus nation state, the political entity. And you've taken that idea of the pride, the civilizational pride. In the very last chapter, you have the Shankaracharya character suddenly showing up. And Amish talks about who knows the date, only Mahadev knows the date. But Shankaracharya is right there and he's giving a little speech on, no, you cannot put the Shivalinga back together. We're not going to do a prana pratishtha. Instead, he talks about how civilizations will, go through so many ups and downs, and eventually that will happen. He's like some kind of a prophet about the next 1,000 years. And the story returns to, and I won't give away any more of the story after this, the story returns to Ram Lalla at the end.
They're giving away too much now. Let them read the book.
Let them read the book. No, but the middle part is the exciting part. Could you tell us some of your most interesting, exciting moments in the story? Like, tell us the literary parts, that illusions place.
I think one thing which troubled my Harper editor a lot, because the book was nearly ready, I think a year and a half back. And I was kind of doing a final read through it. And there was this particular character who kept kind of, I've said this often, I don't feel I create the characters, I kind of discover them. I'm a witness and I kind of see them and they talk to me in a way. I know it sounds bizarre, but it's actually that's the way it works for me.
No, you've said more bizarre things than that. It's okay.
So there was this particular character who kept talking to me that, no, you haven't got me. No, you haven't got me. That you haven't portrayed me correctly. And in the original script, he was actually supposed to be a negative guy. And he is a negative guy even now, all through the book. And then you get him at the end, why he did everything that he did. And I suddenly just got that with this one line. That will not spoil it for you, but you will get it when you read the book. That this one line, he just says, her name was Sarah. Okay, that's it. Her name was Sarah. Okay, that's it. That line struck me, and like I started crying. Okay, that I finally get this guy. And then I realized actually I had to put various things in his thoughts, everything, to make sure that the story aligns to that line that her name was Sarah.
Is that the child?
At the end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no spoilers, no spoilers. So, I actually had to rewrite much of the book, which meant that the book got delayed, and I called up Paulomi. I said, listen, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to rewrite it. You're going to have to wait. And I'm glad I did that, because I think that's one of the most fascinating characters that I've seen. And even now, when I read that, his last thing, I still get tears in my eyes. Her name was Sarah.
Thank you. That's
it's a fascinating character.
So
I won't tell you the name. Hopefully, you guys will like it.
I noticed is it the inside page or was it on the cover page? The Immortal Writers Center, Amish, and the Immortal Writers Center. Is that a new thing? What is the Immortal Writers Center?
So I'd started this because, like I said, I have too many story ideas. I'm not so sure I'll finish all of them before I die.
How does one join the Immortal Writers Center?
No, we just approach. You get invited actually. So published writers. So we started 5 books with that process. This is the second on it. So how it works is I'm a control freak. So I write a 5,000-6,000 word kind of story summary. Then it has to be a published writer, and we give them upfront amount, which is like, which will be very good, more than what they would on their own book. And then they kind of expand each chapter, and then it comes back.
So it's a teamwork
to me. And then I kind of work on it. So this just expands my capacity. Yeah. So this has never been done in India before, but it is done abroad. Wilbur Smith does it. James Patterson does it. Yeah.
Fascinating. That's really fascinating. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I don't actually have anything else you want to say about the book? I'm not allowed to say very much because you keep telling me that I'm
spoilers,
giving away
come on.
the line.
We've just launched the book 2.5 months back.
No.
But we can have audience questions then. Okay,
many.
hopefully there'll be a
Wonderful.
mic going around. Yeah, lovely.
Amish, my question is when you are researching for this novel, did you find any influence of European influence on the Chola culture? I will tell you the reason. When you go to the big temple in Tanjavur, when you see the sculptural motifs on the Gopuram, you find a lot of motifs which are European in nature. You know, the women with the hat and all that. Very closely when you look at it. Did you find anywhere some influence of Europe on the Chola culture?
Very good question, sir. Um, and yes, I've been to Gangaikoda, Chodapuram. How many of you guys have actually been to Tanjavur or Oh, lovely. So, you know, the way it was historically, again, we don't get this because our history is so Delhi focused that we think that we were essentially a nation of farmers. You know, and that region was, no doubt, right? That Khyber to Agra was largely farming. And, you know, fighting back invaders, essentially, largely, at least in the last 1,000 years. But the rest of India was actually seafaring, trading. We were the greatest trading nation of the ancient world for 1,000 years. From from 300 BCE till around 1,000 Common Era, we were by far the greatest trading nation, by far the largest economy. And that was so because of the monsoon. There's a reason I'm giving this full background, because of the monsoon wind system. Uh, Everyone remember school geography, the trade winds? Yeah? So the problem with them is they only flow in one direction, right? So that was the problem with trading. If you went, because real trading happens on ships, not on camel. That Silk Route is actually more a marketing ploy. कितना trading करोगे आप on oxen or camel? Real trading happens on ships always, because you can load a lot. But the problem with ships was that you could, you know, sail with the trade wind. The return journey was difficult, which is why so many regions had slaves. Slaves were not used for farming actually, they were primarily in the galleys. That's why the Mediterranean world had so many slaves, right? To row on the way back. There's only one nation, one ocean on earth where the winds change direction like clockwork. Only one, the Indian Ocean. Why? Why does that happen? Monsoon, right? The northeast, normally the winds are flowing, you know, from northeast to southwest. Monsoon season, they change direction, exact reverse, southwest to northeast. So our ancestors could sail out in the winter months and sail back in with the monsoon winds. It was an annual round trip. This was why India was the hub of global trade, always, through history. And in that era, the Chola Empire was the heart, okay, of it. And there were two other great empires at that time. One was the Caliphate, okay, which did much. Europe was more in the dark ages, but there was still some trade happening. But the Caliphate was powerful, and Spain was wealthy at that time, which was also the Caliphate. So a lot of the trading used to happen from there, and India would be kind of like the center point, and then to the Song Empire in China. So the Chola Empire was at the heart of it. So there was always there were a lot of foreigners, a lot of people in, like most, you know, great trading nations, you get a lot of foreigners because they're coming there. So they weren't really Europeans. They were actually many of the Turks, or, you know, many others used to wear hats. The Persians used to wear hats. So that's why you see them. There's a lot, because the Chola Empire was the hub of global trade, which is why Rajendra Chola was the most powerful man on earth. That's the reason.
And they probably also took all our stories to the southeast.
Yeah. That's why Southeast Asia. How many of you have been to Thailand or Indonesia? Yeah, you see so many. You'll see a Ganesh Ji Murti. You'll see Kuber out there. We stopped worshiping Kuber in India,
And the
but they
stories
still
of
worship him.
Rama and everything, yeah.
So that's how our culture actually went.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Any other questions? There's so many
Yeah,
questions.
the mics can go to the backbenchers also, but sorry. Go ahead.
Have you looked earlier in history, like if you go earlier before Cholas, you can look at Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas in Karnataka.
Next book.
So Chalukyas, especially Imadi Pulakeshi, he was the one who he was the first one who
You're right. Who fought for?
conquered North
Yes.
India on the banks of Narmada.
You're
He
right.
was known as Dakshinapateshwara.
Correct.
And he even...
In Pulakeshin.
Immadi Pulakeshin. And he even defeated the Caliphate at...
You're right. You're right. After the conquest of Sindh.
Bombay.
You know your history, sir. Very impressed.
Yeah. At Bombay, he, near Tana Bandar, he, what they say, he fought back the caliphate, this thing. Another person of the same dynasty, Avanijashrey Pulkeshi, he actually fought back against the caliphate, Umayyad caliphate, near Navasarika in Gujarat.
In Gujarat? Oh.
Yeah.
This I didn't know. Okay, I'll explore, and if
This,
there's a good story, I'll write it. I'll give you credit.
actually, I feel that Karnataka, this was from Karnataka. This dynasty, Chalukya, was from Vatapi in
Vatapi.
Karnataka, Badami.
Yeah.
I feel
I've been
that
there. Have you
it's-
seen the lovely murtis of?
Yeah, and
of
you
Siddhi
must
in there?
be knowing about Rashtrakutas.
Yes.
They built the Kailasa temple in near Ajanta.
Yeah,
Ellora place.
I've done a podcast on it.
Scope for
Yeah.
historical fiction.
Yeah.
This
How
was-
many of you guys have seen the Kailash temple in Ellora? Yeah. It's a temple which has been carved, not built. It's been carved into a cliff. Never been done anywhere ever. Just think of the brilliance and the skills our ancestors had. Yeah.
And one more thing, there was one more person from the same dynasty, Govinda III. He conquered till the Nepal border. He went till the Nepal border. He ruled from Manyaketa in Karnataka, Malkhed. Today it is known as Malkhed. At that time, almost the whole of India was united under his rule. Another person.
I don't know
called-
if you know, even the Solanki rulers of Gujarat are
They
also
were
called Western
from-
Chalukyas. Yeah, correct.
They were descendants
Okay,
of
you have given
Chalukyas.
me many ideas for Indic
I
Chronicles.
think
I will work on
that's
it.
going to last him for like 2 years now. So maybe
You
we should
should
move
look
on to
at,
somebody else.
You should look at Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I will. Thank you.
And Imadi Pulakeshi and Amogavarsha Nupatunga.
Anybody who has
I
suggestions
will,
can
thank
write to his email address, which is in the book.
Yes.
And anybody who has any questions for Amish to contribute his information. Yeah.
Good luck on your book.
Sorry, where are you?
It's
Hi.
Not about the book though, but good luck. I wanted to ask, with recent passing of Shri Bibek Debroy, I've heard your talks with him. It has left a big void. So can you just briefly reflect on his contribution, and do you feel a sense of continuity carrying forward his legacy in some way?
Oh, no. Bibek Da was a scholar. I'm just an ordinary storyteller.
Still.
I think he was a national treasure, honestly. How many of you have read Bibek Debroy Da's books? Okay, those who haven't, seriously, just check him out. He's written, and he was a brilliant economist, so he's written books on those subjects as well. But I think among his most important contributions were actually his translations. So the critical editions, Ramayana, Mahabharata, many of the Puranas. And I think the only one who can kind of measure up to Bibek Da's contribution was this gentleman called Nath, who was a Bengali 120, 130 years ago. Because unfortunately, most modern Indians, we don't know Sanskrit well. Sadly, increasingly it's happening. Many Indians are not knowing their own mother tongue also well. I don't know if it happens in Kannada. I know it's happening in Hindi. Many of the youngsters are reading Hindi in the Roman script. Not in the original Devanagari script. Is it happening in Kannada as well? Yeah? Huh? Yeah. So what happens is that because our languages are phonetic languages, right? They are scientific. English is more a mongrel language. So the English script, the Roman script, is not a scientific script. So the pronunciations get completely messed up if you're reading in the Roman script. And often if you change the pronunciation, the word changes, the meaning changes, right? Yeah, so in a situation like this, the contribution that someone like Bibek Da makes to make sure that our national treasures are available to us because he translates them is beyond compare. And I don't know who can be a replacement, because the speed at which he used to keep coming out with translations while still doing a full-time job. So I wish more like him emerge, for the good of modern India. Yeah. But thank you for asking this question.
One of the
Yes, sir.
recent books on the Cholas takes away the credit for the Southeast Asian conquest from the Cholas and gives it to the mercantile class, saying that there was already a navy.
There was a guild, yeah.
Yeah.
The Guild of 72, I think they were called. That was the name of the guild.
But most of the conquests have been preceded by trade.
Yeah,
So what's a big deal? I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, Chola should be given equal credit for rather than being taken away.
it's there's this concept these days which was on the West, which has come out here, this concept called deconstruction. And they want to keep breaking everything down. And in actual fact, it was a partnership between the guilds and the Cholas, right? Because a big part of the reason for the battle was that the Indonesian empire of that time had blocked trade between India and China, and were charging usurious kind of taxes on it, and had confiscated many of the, because much of the trade was actually done by Indian guilds, and had confiscated much of the property of the Indian guilds as well, which was the source of the taxes, for the Chola Empire. So it was actually a partnership. So which is why Rajendra Chola actually went out there, conquered it, which helped trade, but which got him this territory as well. It was a partnership. It's the way it works. So like the US president fights for American business, it's his job, no? Because he'll fight for what is for the good of the nation. Will fight for American universities. The Indian leadership should fight for Indian business and Indian universities and Indian people, right? It's the way it works. So I mean, it's a bit like taking the truth and then making a silly interpretation with it, which my mother would say, whoever wrote this book is knowledgeable but not wise.
Actually, Amish, there's a small comment I have to make on this. My favorite line in the entire book was 3 words, no more killing. On page 270, one of the characters says, no more killing. I want to say, can we have more stories with human interest and not just action, adventure, war, killings, and so on? That's my small contribution to your future plans.
That's what I tried to do with Dharma. One of the problems, and this is a conversation that happens at the end of the Mahabharata epic itself, with Janmajaya and the king of the Nagas, the snakes. And India has had the oldest pacifist traditions in the world, Jainism, by far. And Jainism, how many Jains here? Yeah. As you know, Jainism, under no circumstances are you supposed to raise your hand, no matter what. There's a Jain version of the Ramayana where Lord Ram is completely non-violent, right?
And Ravana has given a really good.
But the issue that happens is that if you're the only one who's pacifist and others are not, this experiment has been tried, including by us, doesn't end up well. So I think among the balances that one learns is again a line from the Mahabharata, ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the greatest dharma, but dharma hinsa tathaivcha. That if to protect dharma you have to fight, then you fight. My wife is Jain, my father-in-law is Jain, and he told me something very beautiful, that one can afford to be non-violent if there's someone standing in front of me who loves me, is willing to protect me, and is willing to be violent to protect me if needs be. So I think the best way to see it is there's a partnership between the non-violent and the violent. You don't want the violent predators. They cause chaos. Look at Syria, look at Pakistan. But you do need the violent protectors.
Very interesting answer.
You need to have a partnership, because usually the beautiful things of life emerge usually from the non-violent people. But if there's no one protecting them, those non-violent people will not survive. So it's a bit like the yin and the yang. It's a bit like Lord Shiva, Goddess Parvati. Actually, Lord Shiva, Goddess Parvati Ma can also be very tough. But it's like a partnership between both. And if both realize the importance of the other, leads to a better society. That's my thinking.
Okay. We have time for one more question only.
Yeah. Hi. Congratulations. You are such an icon. And especially, I'll start with a compliment. Your Shiva trilogy cuts across, I think, ages. My father, my son, and myself, we are big fans of your work. Then I would like to start with this. Another compliment is that how you rationalize like the deformity of Ganesha. That's amazing. Like most of us just take it, yeah, this is how Ganesha looks like. But you give it a rationality, and probably that's why it reverberates with the younger generation and also with me. And the question I would like to ask is, you just said that you're overflowing with ideas. And some of us are stuck in the writer's block. So I would like to understand like your process, like how it comes to you reading a book on history or visiting a historical place. How does it happen?
I don't know, man. It just comes. I mean,
He said he
why
gets
Lord
told
Shiva-
it. You said,
why Lord Shiva keeps blessing me, I don't know. And before Immortals of Meluha, I didn't know fiction. I used to get no ideas. And I don't know when it'll stop, right? Because I can't explain where it comes from. I don't know when it'll stop either. So which is why I'm in a rush to keep on writing and get the ideas out. Perhaps I serve a purpose. Perhaps I don't know. I don't know.
But also,
but I know it's something I do not deserve. That I do know. I know it's a blessing from Lord Shiva, and I know I have to honor that blessing to the best of my abilities. That's the way I see it.
also, ma'am,
Why he's
you
blessed
should
me, I
talk
don't
to
know.
the gentleman in the front row who had all those ideas.
Yes, correct. Maybe Lord Shiva sent him.
So with that, we would like to close the session.
Thank
We're done with time here.
Oh, there is
So
1
I'm
minute.
getting
Chalo, one more question. Someone at the back, come on.
Only
I was a
question,
backbencher.
please, not-
Acha, okay, whoever has the mic.
Just jump to the question straight, please.
Right.
We can do just one more question, just
Okay.
one.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, shoot.
Whoever's got the mic, go for it.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Been a big fan for years. I've been reading your books since I think since the Meluha books came out. My question is, I am originally from the Northeast, and you mentioned that in the history books, you say meanwhile in the South, right? Well, I studied NCRT, and the Ahoms had all of 2 lines mentioned.
Yeah.
So do you think in the Indic Chronicles, would you look at exploring more into the history of Northeast? Because the Ahoms were the only dynasty.
I've got good news for you, because they ruled for some 800, 900 years.
600 years.
Yeah, undefeated. Have you heard of Lachit Borphukan?
So we grew up idolizing him. There is
Battle
a
of
statue.
Saraigat. I have a story idea for him, it'll come.
Awesome. Very
Okay.
excited, sir.
Those who haven't read Battle of Saraigat, check it out, man. What an awesome battle. And Lachit Borphukan was seriously ill at that time. And yet he fought and he won. It's a river naval battle. Okay. Like the strategies are insane. And what a man he was. It'll come. Yep. You're right. Applause
Thank
for the
you.
Ahoms
Thank you.
and Assam and the Northeast. Thank you.